Mental health refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It affects how we think, feel, and act as we cope with life's challenges. It also influences how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health affects everyone. Maternal mental health, for example, directly impacts early bonding, attachment, and cognitive and emotional development of the child. A lot of women feel shame around seeking help for postpartum depression and anxiety. Recognizing the signs of mental health issues and seeking timely help is crucial, and that is what today's nonprofit is doing. Hi, I'm Paige, and with me today is Michelle Lacy. Michelle Lacy is the Executive Director of Women's Health Innovations of Arizona. Welcome to Chesapeake Talks, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
Michelle, many people prepare for the labor and delivery, but not so much for what parenthood would be like. So, could you please tell the audience about perinatal mood disorders and why it is that the natural process of childbirth, which is supposedly a happy phenomenon, isn't it? Why does it require mental health support?
Sure. So we know that maternal mental health disorders are the number one complication of pregnancy, impacting 1 in 5 mothers and 1 in 10 fathers. It's the people don't expect to have that emotional response to having a baby. Think about what we say when someone says they're pregnant. They say, "Oh, it's so exciting. Aren't you happy?" All the things. And there's these myths of parenthood of that this is going to be a happy, glowing time. It's going to connect my partner and I, but this is a massive life change in addition to a massive hormonal shift. And as a result, what we see is these significant mood struggles that can occur. Most people think about that as the baby blues, and really the baby blues is something that happens in the first 2 weeks postpartum, and about 80% of parents will go through that. And it's that roller coaster of emotions that we go through. We're happy, we're sad, we're anxious, we're questioning everything, we don't know what we're doing, we're sleep deprived, but that doesn't last more than 2 weeks. And then what we can see after that is depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, panic, post-traumatic stress disorder, and in some cases, psychosis. And people don't really think about those things. They think about the baby blues. We know that mood struggles can occur anytime in pregnancy and up to the first year postpartum or longer, especially if if it's untreated.
Right. When you say untreated, most people try to manage it at home, right? It's a normal part. There is guilt to feel that this is too much to handle. So it's often like you're made to feel that you are not normal in such a situation. So what does your organization WHI do to help with this issue?
Sure. We want to try and normalize that mental health care, especially around pregnancy and postpartum and parenting, is healthcare. Healthcare. And that's really important. So we are a nonprofit. We are a licensed outpatient treatment center specializing in the mental health needs around pregnancy, postpartum, and parenting. And we want to remove all the barriers for people to get help. One of the things we do is bill insurance. We bill the Medicaid plans, which is very hard for people to access. And we also have a philanthropic side of our program that will offset costs for people who are uninsured or underinsured. All of our therapists are trained in best practices for maternal mental health disorders. We have all of our therapists trained in trauma-based treatments and best practice treatments for OCD. We want to be ensure that we're providing the best care and removing any barriers so that every person actually has access to care, whether they have the greatest insurance and all the money in the world or not, because we believe that everyone should have that access. And we know that if they don't have the access to care, then the whole family suffers. And it's not just the mother's issue, it's the family's issue, but it's a community issue too, because there's multi-generational effects that can occur for everyone when the disorders go untreated.
Right. So is this an accepted form for fathers as well? Is this a term that is accepted? If it is, okay.
So we do see fathers as well, because fathers are also going through their own changes, and they also have the stress of the massive change, but also just understanding how to be supportive to my partner. What does this mean for me? And they may have their own mental health history that might become more apparent during this time.
I also read about dialectical behavior therapy. What is that, and how do you help with that?
So we have specially trained therapists that provide that specific form of treatment. We offer a group in addition to those therapists offering it during one-on-one sessions. And it's really all about developing skills to help regulate my emotions. So understand my emotions, what happens to my body when I'm experiencing those emotions, what am I thinking when I'm experiencing those emotions, and then the tools to manage all of those. I love DBT. I think everybody should take DBT because it's all about just learning skills to cope with stress, cope with difficult times. And we all have that, right? We all go through difficult times.
Absolutely. Now, how does someone who needs it access your services?
So they can access our services through our website. They can do a contact form or call our office directly. We will get people in within a week usually, because we don't want people to have to wait. And we know that some people have to wait weeks and months to get in with somebody. And we know that when someone makes the decision, okay, I'm doing this, we want to help them get in as quickly as possible. So it's very simple. Darcy, who is at our front desk, she's really great at connecting with people, and then they'll come in for a screening or do virtual for a screening, and then they will get assigned a therapist.
So only the first virtual screening is available remotely. Otherwise, do you have any programs that can be done virtually across the world? Maybe if somebody is listening to this podcast and they want to access, is it possible for them to?
So we do offer virtual services across the state of Arizona. Unfortunately, because of our licensing limitations, we have to. It depends on where the person is located. But we partner with an amazing organization called Postpartum Support International, which is also a nonprofit, and they offer virtual groups, over 50 a month. I mean, they have a lot of groups, and they are really like our mother organization in serving this population, and they are worldwide. They have programs in various languages, so that would be someone that people can also contact as well.
Tell us about your therapists. I'm sure they are all qualified and supportive, but what keeps them motivated?
Well, one thing is mainly, I think a lot of our therapists are moms, and they've been through it. They get it. I mean, the reason I do this work is because I went through my own experience, and there weren't resources in our area for moms. And so I learned a lot about what was best practice and what would how many families suffer, and thought, well, we have to change this. So one of the things is that they've experienced it and their moms. The second thing is we really come from a relational model of treatment in our organization. And it's really about connection, because everybody needs connection. And there's this theory of when, especially for women get well in relationship with other women. And it's often we see this model in women who are in who experience substance use disorders or in the justice system and have trauma. But there's some data now on this population of the perinatal population and the relational model and how powerful that can be in the healing process. Well, we translate that into our community, as in our culture, as an organization, that relationship is really important. And I think that helps. We also provide a lot of incredible training that our organization will pay for our therapists, which is unheard of a lot of the time. And so, because we want our therapists to provide the best treatment possible, so we will get them trained in those areas.
Let's take a break to understand what Chizuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state-of-the-art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chizuba began with this very vision. A vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chizuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chizuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chizuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest.
That's wonderful. Now, one question that arises from the situation: what if somebody does not know that she is suffering from PTSD, or she does not know that she's suffering from, I won't say the word suffering, but she's going through this situation. It could be normal irritability. It could be something that's pretty, acceptable in the family. Mm-hmm. So should the partner or should the family members identify that, this is what is happening and we need to counsel?
Sure. So a lot of times the partner or the family members will see it long before the individual will see it. And so equipping the partners with information and education and sharing that is really powerful. One of the things I do is go to moms groups all over our community and our state, and I share about maternal mental health. And then what I hear is, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that's what I was going through. I thought this was just motherhood. And then they can name it. And I think there's something really powerful in being able to name, this is what's happening for me. And now I have some steps to take that I can get to support me in this. Because usually what's happening is people suffering and they're thinking, this is just how it's going to be now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what arises from that is, postpartum is one thing. Do you also help women out, after, in terms of parenthood? Do you also do that? Because there are some parents, who feel that they haven't given enough time to the child, or they've been too rough on the child. So is there a way to vent it out?
So we will work with women across the lifespan. We also have a young child program where we work with parents with children birth to 8. So we provide parent support. We provide child therapy. My therapists that are trained in working with children are also trained in best practices from Brazelton touch points, which is a developmental type focus, to an attachment-based focus, to trauma-based therapies, child-parent psychotherapy, play therapy, sand tray therapy. And so we will offer a lot of support throughout the parenthood journey, because we know that sometimes someone is experiencing mood struggles and they'll just white knuckle it and get through. And then it will come out at some point in their parenting journey. And then we realize, oh, hey, maybe this started back here when you became a parent and you just were shoving it down and pushing it down and pushing it down. And now we're in a very vulnerable time and it's coming out. Our goal is to support families at whatever stage that they're in, and especially around their mental health, because so many people suffer. We know that less than 15% of people will get some kind of help when they're struggling in their mental health around the perinatal period. And that then becomes a long-term issue. So that'll affect parenting throughout their whole journey.
Do you get that? Do you have a lot of parents coming to you and say, I need help, or is it rare?
We get parents that come because a lot of times most people will come because they're in a crisis situation, right? They can't do it anymore. They know they've been suffering. They know they haven't felt like themselves, or maybe they're experiencing intrusive thoughts that really are scaring them, or really maybe they're experiencing some anger and it's gotten to a point where they just can't do that anymore. Then what happens is we develop a relationship with parents, and then we will see them sometimes through multiple pregnancies just to have that support. So that's really exciting to be able to have that kind of relationship. But a lot of times people, I think that's human nature, is that we push and we wait and we wait and we wait. And then when we finally then go, okay, now I need help. And it's oftentimes at the crisis point.
Michelle, is there any case that comes to mind particularly? You don't have to name anybody here, but is there any case that you felt, I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing?
I really see that I can honestly say that I see that often, but I worked with a mom once who was struggling with perinatal OCD, and that involves intrusive, scary thoughts about bad things happening to the baby. And there's a lot of shame that comes with that and horror over the thoughts that are going through their mind. And so she originally called at like 2 months postpartum, scheduled and then canceled, and then did it again at 4 months, scheduled and then canceled. And then she finally came in at 6 months postpartum, having suffered for 6 months. And we started our conversation. I did a little education, and you could literally see the relief come over her. And at the end of the session, she said, I thought, I was certain I was going to leave here today in a police car or in an ambulance. And she had shared with her family about what the thoughts were, and they told her not to say anything because, for fear of retaliation or getting your children taken away. And so that's what locked her in suffering. And so we were able to work together and normalize that this is how it happens. This can happen during parenting. And she got the treatment that she needed, and she was free from that. And it was phenomenal to watch her transformation. But we see that all the time. That's the beautiful thing, is with specialized care, people get well. Yeah. And so it's the best job to have. With specialized care, people get well.
Amazing. That's really wonderful to hear. In terms of challenges, what are the challenges that you face as a nonprofit, and even in terms of, it could be anything with your staff or time or resources?
Well, starting a nonprofit was something I never thought I would do, honestly, but so the challenges come with, you put a lot of time and a lot of volunteer time into it. Now we're more established, but really my biggest challenge is funding, right? Funding is limited, and we want to be able to provide services that are accessible and equitable. And sometimes it's really difficult for people to really understand what perinatal mood and anxiety disorders are, the impact on the entire family, and find the people that want to support that. And so that's been one of our biggest challenges. I'm constantly in the community advocating for our families and advocating for the perinatal population in general, because so many people don't get the help that they need, and they don't get equitable help. And I think that's another challenge, is being able to find services for everyone that meets the needs of all the parents that we're serving.
And last question here, Michelle, how do you see the future of maternal mental health care evolving?
I'm excited about it, to be honest with you. There are so many more people that are understanding this now on levels of advocacy that are making change in legislation. And that is exciting to see, because at once upon a time, there were just a handful of us that were pushing for services and change. And so now, especially here in Arizona, we have an amazing postpartum support Arizona chapter that has been working with our Medicaid organization and the legislation to change the systems. And that is exciting. We know that there's the Policy Center for Maternal Mental Health that's located in California, and they work at that level, that legislative level, and providing a blueprint for how to make change and how to improve access to care. And then also being a part of Postpartum Support International, I've watched that evolve as well. From my first conference was 35 people, and last year the conference had over, I believe, 1,000 people at it. So people are paying more attention to this topic, and I'm hopeful that that means, because there's more people behind it, we will see more system change. We will normalize that this is something that happens and it's okay, and it doesn't have to do with your baby. You love your baby. It's just, this is a healthcare issue that needs to be addressed, and it's a risk of having a baby, is your mental health can struggle.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for talking to us. You have shown some light on postpartum depression. Not only that, but also parenthood. And, here's a message for all the people listening to this. Feeling what you are feeling after childbirth is not necessarily a normal thing. You could need help. Please approach organizations like uh, Women's Health Innovations of Arizona, and they will be able to help you out with whatever you're going through. Thank you, Michelle, for being on Chizuba Talks today.
Thank you so much for having me.